It's like stuff over here. This Beavis and Butthead thing. What is this stuff? Lucy needs to come down here and clean up the craft area. What's this? Oh, it was the thing Lucy used to make as her time machine. I wonder why she wanted it out of her room. Whoa!
Ugh. Well, I got the box down to the basement. That's kind of a hard day's work. Oh, our daughter Lucy's quite the artist. A few of her artworks here. She did That's Supposed to Be Our House, and Lucy, honey, I need to know. Why did you draw this?
Because the box is evil.
Because the box is evil.
I've got a funny feeling I know where I am. This looks like the jail where they might have kept Socrates. Socrates, wake up! I'm here to rescue you. Hans Gruber has taken over the entire Nakatomi Plaza. You've got to escape this cell, otherwise they'll kill you.
Tell me, then, whether I am right in saying that some opinions, and the opinions of some men only, are to be valued, and that other opinions, and the opinions of other men, are not to be valued.
I see what you mean. If I'm sick, only the opinion of the doctor matters, not the opinion of my Insta followers. Oh, I hope this is okay. Just didn't want to take your drink, the hemlock.
Then consider the matter in this way. Imagine that I am about to play truant, and the laws and the government come and interrogate. Tell us, Socrates, they say, what are you about? Are you not going, by an act of yours, to overturn us, the laws and the whole state, as far as in you lies? Do you imagine that a state can subsist and not be overthrown, in which the decisions of the law have no power, but are set aside and trampled upon by individuals? What would be your answer?
Toga, toga, toga.
And was that our agreement with you, the law would answer? Or were you to abide by the sentence of the state? The law would probably add, answer, Socrates, instead of opening your eyes. You are in the habit of asking and answering questions. Tell us. What complaint have you to make against us which justifies you in attempting to destroy us and the state? In the first place, did we not bring you into existence? Your father married your mother by our aid and begat you. Say whether you have any objection to urge against those of us who regulate marriage. None, I should reply. Or against those of us who after birth regulate the nature and education of children, in which you also were trained. Were not the laws, which have the charge of education, right in commanding your father to train you in music and gymnastic? Right, I should reply. Well then, since you were brought into the world and nurtured and educated by us, can you deny in the first place that you are our child and slave, as your fathers were before you? And if this is true, you are not on equal terms with us. Nor can we think that you have a right to do to us what we are doing to you. would you have any right to strike or revile or do any other evil to your father or your master, if you had one, because you have been struck or reviled by him, or received some other evil at his hands? You would not say this. And because we think right to destroy you, do you think that you have any right to destroy us in return, and your country as far as in you lies? Will you, O professor of true virtue, pretend that you are justified in this? Has a philosopher like you failed to discover that our country is more to be valued and higher and holier far than mother or father or any ancestor, and more to be regarded in the eyes of the gods and of men of understanding? Also to be soothed and gently and reverently entreated when angry, even more than a father, and either to be persuaded, or if not persuaded, to be obeyed. And when we are punished by her, whether with imprisonment or stripes, the punishment is to be endured in silence.
Well, thanks for mansplaining that to me, Socrates. I guess the bottom line is you are going to stay and die, on principle.
Socrates was charged with impiety, not being religious enough, and corrupting the youth. Socrates taught young people, and some believe that he was teaching them negative or unhelpful messages that weren't for the greater good of society. When Crito comes to argue with Socrates, Socrates is in jail and on death row. And so Crito gives an argument that goes about like follows. Your death will deprive me of an irreplaceable friend. Your death will give me a bad reputation among many, since they will think I cared more about money than I cared about you, and I didn't care enough to spend the money to buy your way out of dying. Your average Athenian would never believe that Socrates chose to die rather than to save himself, because they would do anything to save their own lives. So they won't believe that Crito and friends offered the money. They'll think they were just too cheap to save Socrates. We, your other friends and myself, can afford to pay off the necessary people to keep us out of trouble, but we are also willing to risk getting in trouble in order to save your life. Staying would be wrong, since it is unjust to give up your life when you can save it. Staying would be unjust because you owe it to your children to train and educate them. Therefore, Socrates, you should break the law and escape death. In the dialogue, Socrates almost seems hurt by Crito's second premise, the idea that we should listen to what most people think. Socrates gives an argument by analogy against the relevance of that premise. If a man is professionally engaged in physical training to become healthy and strong, he should not listen to the advice of the majority. Rather, he should pay attention to the opinions of the experts, his doctor and trainer. Becoming just or good is similar to becoming healthy and strong, because just as there are experts about health, there are experts about justice and right and wrong. Therefore, a person should not consider the opinions of the many about whether an action is right or wrong. He or she should only consider the opinions of those who are wise, who understand justice and morality. Two things before we start Socrates' argument against breaking the law. First, remember that underage drinking is breaking a law. And secondly, you can imagine the laws to be a book of laws that spring eyes and a mouth, and like in a Harry Potter movie. You see, Socrates loves Crito, so instead of directly refuting him, he uses this fantasy thought experiment. So, Socrates' argument, that is the argument that the laws give Socrates, really Socrates' argument to Crito, against fleeing his prison cell. Premise 1. Breaking a law damages the state, because its survival depends on whether the verdicts of its courts have force or if they can be nullified by private individuals. If you drink and you're not old enough, do you weaken the state? Do you damage the state? Because its survival depends on the courts having force in their verdicts. By staying in a community, you obligate yourself to obey its laws. You could have gathered your things and gone elsewhere. Breaking the laws would violate your agreement to obey the law's commands. So, you tacitly consent to obey the laws of the United States by living here, just by hanging around. Of course, one of the laws in the United States is that you're not allowed to drink until you're 21. The laws have benefited you in many ways. They brought you to birth, allowed your parents to marry, gave you education. Breaking the laws is like disobeying parents. Even if the laws wrong you, that doesn't make it okay for you to wrong them. You should either persuade your country to change its laws or else obey them. You previously had the opportunity to try to convince the state to change its laws, but did not do so. It's true, Socrates refused to serve in any political capacity. He would not get into politics. You should not value your children or your life more than doing the right thing. The conclusion, therefore, Socrates would be wrong to break the law. It would be wrong for him to flee Athens to avoid the death penalty. As you know, Socrates didn't flee. He didn't allow his friends to bribe the guards. He stayed in the prison and took the hemlock and died. Oh my gosh. Rita was down there with that box. Oh, good grief. The green screen's in the way. Rita, are you, oh my gosh, are you okay?
Yeah.
Oh, Lucy said the box was evil.
I don't think it's evil, just misunderstood.